to the March 23rd meeting of the Rotary Club of Louisville. I'm Walt Kuno, your president. Please silence your phones right now. If I can get that out. Please silence your phones. We have a couple of moments of remembrance, so this is a somber time in our meeting. Anybody who remembers longtime member David Reed, the 6th Bishop of Kentucky and the Senior Episcopal Bishop of the Episcopal Church, died on Saturday, March 11th, 2023, at the age of 96. He joined our club in 1974, was a Paul Harris Fellow. And I can remember when he would come, he always had nice and wonderful things to say. It was just, had a smile on his face. So he has already been missed and hadn't been in our club visiting for quite a while. Visitation will be held on Friday, April 14th, with a funeral at Christ Church Cathedral on Saturday, April 15th. Please join me in a moment of silence in his memory. And now we have another remembrance. Colonel Douglas Bertrand Yates, 91, passed away at his home on February 23rd. He was a member of our club, again, from 1981 to 2018. By the Colonel's wishes, services and internment will be held at Arlington National Cemetery. Let's have another moment of silence for our Rotarian that has passed away. Thank you. And now providing our invocation today is Kenya Wade, founder and CEO of Cycle Breakers Breaking Chains Incorporated. Welcome.
If we can all bow our heads, please. Lord God, we thank you for finding us here today, Lord God, for service. We want to recognize the people that we have lost and their families and the dedication that they have made to service and to the Rotary, Lord God. We thank you for gathering leaders and bringing leaders together for the greater good. Everyone here today, Lord God, we ask that you continue to bless them as they go out into the world and make a difference. We lift up our speaker today, who come here to discuss the things that he's doing for the community, for the greater good of Louisville, Lord God. We also want to lift up and thank you for blessing our President Walt and keep bringing him home safely, and to continue to guide him and give him the wisdom that he needs as he continues to do great things with the Rotary and be of great service to already leaders and make us better than what we are, and to know that we can do this together for the good of the city, for the good of the world. And we thank you, and we lift up your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And now for our pledge and four-way test is Craig Mooney, COO and CFO at Bossy Construction and a Paul Harris Fellow.
Okay, if everyone could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now for our four-way test.
Is the truth, is fair to all concerned, will it build goodwill and better friendships, will it be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you, Craig, and everybody please be seated. All right, we're going to have a great, energetic meeting today. And Kenya, I thank you for praying for my safe return to Harbor, and I made it. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have monetized that too, okay, guys? All right. Rotarians, please make your way, if you have a guest, to the microphone. Introduce yourself first and then your guest, and we'll get on with this great meeting today. Brett.
Hello? Yes.
There we go.
Good afternoon, everybody. Brett Corbin from the Corbin Financial Group of Raymond James. My guest today is Kevin Anderson. He is the VP of Sales for Pure Power Solar. So if you want to put some solar on your roof to lower your bills, that's your man.
Great, thanks Brett, and welcome. Hello, Kevin.
Morning. Kevin Lynch, this is, my guest is Daniel Aziz. He's a management associate for Starcars Bank. Great, thank you, by the way. And I also want to thank people on the Business Service Committee as well as Louis Straub, because the event at Independence Bank, where I met him, it was one of the business services events with Canopy and with Whitepel. We met a lot of good people there, and John was my guest. Thanks.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Hello, good afternoon. Delene Taylor, Executive Director of the club. My guest today is Rosa Hart. She is a, stroke nurse navigator with Norton Healthcare. She is the host of the Lou Review podcast and a woman of impact with the American Heart Association. Welcome, Rosa.
Yay, thank you. Yes, once the meeting is finished, and if you'd like to learn about what it takes to join Rotary, we'll be meeting right over here at the What is Rotary table. And Craig's actually here way early today. There he is. I got him his mouth full too. Of course I did. That big smile. Craig will be over here. Great. All right. So we're going to do something now with our silent auction. Before we do that, how many of y'all were here last week? Just a few, but I will tell you, one, thank you all for coming. That was our Unsung Hero Week. We had 45 high school students who are unsung heroes. They're not the star athlete. They're not the smartest kid in the class. They're the kid that goes under the radar and just does good and will be a future Rotarian one day with their service. It was so invigorating. And Maggie Harlow, is Maggie here? Maggie, no, I thought she was signed up. She might have been, but anyway, she gave a little challenge to these young people, and of course they wanted to hear from Jack, and but they heard from Maggie, and she was just wonderful. So with that, and Greg Braun, are you coming up here? What are we doing now? All right, Delene, we're ready. Oh, okay. So we've got the silent auction. Y'all get your phones out. One of the few times we do this with our students too. We get the kids get their phones out and they go to Kentuckiana Works, Summer Works, and they make application. I hope that's not this QR code, but anyway.
It's also on your tables.
It's on your tables. Do this.
So we want you to get on and just see all the items that give you a chance to bid before the event on Monday night. Monday night, of course, is going to be our actual incredible fundraiser. Does everybody know who Ben Sully is? He's going to be there. I've got that's one surprise I'll give you. And we're going to introduce, everyone gets a nice complimentary drink that I call the Rotary Flush. And when you get there, you'll get a nice aperitif Rotary Flush. If you want to ask out what that means, you can see me after the show. And we're going to have lots of fun. Look at some of these prizes. These are all the things that you can bid on right now.
Behind the scenes at the zoo.
Yes, go ahead.
That's at Greg's house.
Those Unbridled Derby Gala tickets, Delene, they're like $2,600. And they're $2,600. So great opportunity now to look at some of this stuff and bid. And you can bid all the way up to the night of the event. And then we're also going to have some live auction items, which include a couple staycations here in town, they're fabulous. And a box at the track for the fall meet.
Not a box, a finish line suite.
Oh, what's the difference? What's the difference between a box and a finish line suite?
And you can be Rotary present for the day.
You notice Walt and I didn't say anything.
No, we monetize everything. We're just doing it. So
Day on the River with Rick King, Rotary President for the Day, there's Filson Club, there's a lot of great things. We really, again, we're trying to raise money for our own fund. All of this will go right into our fund so that we can increase the fund and give out more and more to programs that help our city. So you're helping us, we're helping ourselves, and I encourage you all to please give and help make this a successful event. We haven't had a fundraiser since 2016. I guess there'll be another one before 8 years, but
Greg did the last one. We're doing this one and just going, why do we need this? Well, since COVID, we have had more grant requests than we had monies available to the tune of $60,000 a year. Now, and you'll hear some of this, Greg's got it all nicely lined out. You ought to be really proud of what your Rotary Club has done forever and ever and ever. Greg will unveil what that number is. But every single year, we donate $225,000 or more into our community. $80,000 for our scholarships for Western and Iroquois High School to attend Jefferson. And then on top of that, another $140,000 to $160,000 for places like the West End School and places like the Recenter Ministries. Where's Larry? Larry knows how to write grants. Walt knows how to write grants. Educational justice, the things that we're interested in. The biggest single one now is our West Louisville Housing Initiative. $5 million for 70 first-time homeowners to have a house in the 9 named neighborhoods in West Louisville. So we do great things, and you need to be proud of that. We just like to do more great things. And the other part of that, we do not just give money away. We give money and volunteer hours. That's part of our deal with everybody. Because, people that give money away, that's wonderful, and lots of people do that, but we're a service organization, and we can serve with our resources, and we can serve with our hours, and we do both well. So thank you, Greg. This was our networking, so I'll give you a couple more minutes to network with one another, and then we'll get on with our meeting. Thank you.
Let me throw out something too. Some people are asking about the oxygen tank therapy. I have done that. It's called oxybarics. You're in a pressurized oxygen tank for an hour. It's 15, it's like going underwater like 15 feet, and you're in this tank, you feel like $1 million. If you've got arthritis or bone issues, which I have, trust me, you walk out and you feel like it's $1 million. And it's called oxybarics. Michael Jackson did this back in the 80s. Remember that? I mean, for those people, but no, I know he slept in it. You're not going to sleep in it with a monkey. You're in it for just an hour. No, there's no monkey not sleeping. This table back here, this table's causing me problems. So, anyway, back to you all. Come to the fundraiser. Thank you.
Yes, please come. The door prize today will be the fundraiser. All right, I'm going to give you 1 minute to talk to each other. Talk fast. I know that was a quick minute. I know that was a quick 15 seconds. Okay, now on with the show. Rotarians in the spotlight. Congratulations to Ben Reno Weber, who became the District 8 representative of Louisville Metro Council, a spot that was vacated by Cassie Chambers Armstrong when she won the special election to the Kentucky Senate. Dr. Mohammed Babar was featured on WAVE for his humanitarian efforts in Turkey. Dr. Babar and colleague from University of Louisville Health delivered much needed medical supplies after the recent earthquakes. Several of our club members are in New Zealand as part of the Rotary Friendship Exchange. The hosts are scheduled to come to Kentucky in late April or May, and on the Kentucky itinerary is Keeneland, Mammoth Cave, Maker's Mark, the Corvette Museum, and we have a few tickets available for purchase if you want to join these folks from New Zealand, from down under. Anybody can ask Tom Crimmins right here, and I think Susan's in New Zealand, right?
No.
No. Who's in New Zealand? Those are the folks. Karen is, that's one I could see. All right, all good. Now, this is an important part of our year. My pleasure to invite President-elect Kevin Lynch to the podium to introduce our proposed slate of officers.
He's pretty tall here. Thanks, President Wall. First, I want to thank the nominations committee because they did a really good job. We had a fun time doing it, and we found the challenge in Rotary Club in selecting officers and directors. It's not the usual challenge that a lot of nonprofits have. It's like, how do we narrow down the number of leaders that are so talented and so dedicated? We only have so many slots. We have so many people in this room that are involved in Rotary that just are outstanding leaders and outstanding service, and really, it was a pleasure to sort of choose people from that. But it wasn't where we had to find people. We had to say, well, who can we eliminate from this greatness? And I apologize in advance. I'll be reading most of this because it's a lot of detail about either their thoughts or their lives. I don't want to screw that up for them. So, the nominees are for Best Supporting Actress. Sorry, that's the wrong script. For President-elect, these all start July of this year. President-elect is for 1 year, and President-elect this year is, the nominee is Lori Flannery. And Lori, come on up, I said, you need to come on up. Each one of you come on up when I read your name and stay up here. It's Lori's, as you all know, CEO of New Directions Housing Corporation, which does a lot of great work for the city. And I'll read what kind of she put together. Lori says it would be an honor to serve as president-elect of our club with his mission of service above self and the focus on camaraderie and the betterment of our local, national, and international communities. Very well said. She has served as club and fund secretary for 2 years, as well as chair of the governance committee. Some fun jobs. Rotary has supported the work of New Directions with its repair affair. David was involved in that just a little while ago. Effort, as well as its California Neighborhood Head Start program at St. Benedict's Early Childhood Education Center. Besides leading a large nonprofit, Lori's career includes stints as legal counsel in private law firms, as well as executive legal positions in the state government. Most recently, it's impressive as the CFO for the Commonwealth as the Secretary of the Finance and Administration Cabinet. That's pretty impressive. Reporting directly to the governor. Her experience and perspective have been enhanced by working in the private, nonprofit, and governmental sectors throughout her career. Lori is a Paul Harris Fellow, and she and her husband, Kevin, retired president of Triple Downs Racetrack, enjoy 4 adult children and 2 grandchildren. 2 grandsons. Thanks, Lori. As the club secretary, the nominee is Kevin Fields, Sr. I didn't know you had He's currently club secretary, and as you know, he's president and CEO of Louisville Central Community Centers, which has done a lot of great work generally, but specifically with a lot of help with things Rotary has been doing. So that operation in that part of the West End is extremely helpful to the West End generally, and we've been very pleased with how much he's opening up to us to work on that, help get some things done. Kevin says he's proud to be an active member of the Rotary Club of Louisville. He understates being active, by the way. Getting to know long-standing members of the club while helping to cultivate new membership has been a highlight for him over the past 2 years. He feels honored to be part of the first DEI committee chair for the club and to serve as the club director. He is excited to take on the role of secretary to the board of directors. And by the way, I serve on the executive committee of the DEI committee, and he's shown great leadership in that role. And Claire Arnold is a nominee for club director, and she's director of outreach and partnerships at U of L, Kentucky Manufacturing Extension Partnership. That's fairly recent. She got promoted recently. Claire's been a member of the club since 2006, and during this time has been fortunate to work with several outstanding members of the nominations committee, Leadership Fellows Committee, co-chair, Global Scholarship Committee for the district, New Member Celebrations Committee, Business Energy Committee, and Rotary Mentor Program. Now, in the next, if you ever do this again, why don't you tell me the committees you're not on? I don't know. In January, the district governor appointed her to serve as the chair of the Global Scholarship Committee. The district governor, the Global Scholarship Committee for the district, beginning July of this year. This program supports exceptional students for graduate study at a university outside North America who are devoted to pursuing a career that aligns with one of the Rotary Foundation's 7 humanitarian areas of focus. She plans to apply the experience gained over the past 7+ years to contribute to the governance and leadership of our club so that it remains Louisville's premier fellowship of business, professional, and nonprofit leaders dedicated to humanitarian and civic service. Thanks, Craig. Craig Mooney. And Craig is COO and CFO of Boston Construction, Inc. He joined Rotary in August 2018 and wanted to get involved with an organization that provided him with opportunities to serve the community. Since joining, he has participated in serving the monthly dinner at Reed Center Ministries, the cleaning of the Louisville Knot, and the Rotary-sponsored Habitat for Humanity bill. He chairs the Rotary Honors Scholars Committee, RHS, and has enjoyed working with students at both Iroquois and Western high schools. RHS has allowed him to make better connections and new friends with fellow Rotarians and community leaders. He says membership in Rotary has been a very rewarding experience for him, and serving on the board is an opportunity to give back to the club. Craig is a Paul Harris Fellow. Thanks, Craig. And the next one is Larry Seeger, and just yesterday, I guess, he unfortunately got the flu, so he's being nice and not giving it to us. But he's very excited to be joining. He's a private banker with Republic Bank and Trust. One of the newer members, but he's really been involved quite a bit. Louis is deeply honored to be considered for the role of club director. He is very active in the club and would love the chance to contribute even more as an active board member. Since joining the club at the end of 2019, he has served meals at Reed Center Ministries, rung the Salvation Army bell, helped with Louisville Knot cleanup, and serves as co-chair of the Emerging Leaders Committee and vice chair of the Membership Development Engagement Committee. He's passionate about Rotary's mission and believes he can contribute toward it in an impactful way. You can remain seated, Louis. And the last nominee, not the last director, but doesn't help it, Kevin McCarron. Kevin's the founder of Project and Creative, and everybody sees him around here taking pictures all the time and videotaping. Kevin is honored to be considered for the Rotary Club of Louisville Board and to learn and contribute to the advancement of the club and its impact. Since joining in 2018, he's come to understand the internal workings of a large club and to see how it's made. Unfortunately, it's not awesome. He is the chair of the Public Image Committee and previously served as the chair of the District 6710 Public Image Committee. District-wide, he was the Public Image Committee guy. He offers insights and experience in branding, digital marketing, design, and business development to support the mission of the club and its many projects, and seeks ways our club can improve the member experience and grow our presence in Louisville. Kevin is a Paul Harris Fellow who was selected a Rotarian of the Year for 2021-22. His creative and technical skills were vital during the pandemic as we transitioned to virtual meetings and completely renovated our website. He shows up week after week to record our meetings and take photos. So what do you say? Thanks, Greg. And we also have a director of the Rotary Fund Board, and that's Ann Monell. Ann's Vice President of Philanthropy and Stewardship at Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary. Ann has been a member of Rotary since 2019 and has served on the Community Impact Committee. She has more than 20 years' experience in nonprofit leadership through her work at the seminary, Norton Healthcare, Community Foundation of Louisville, and Family and Children's Place. She is ready to apply her professional insights and experiences through service on the board of the Rotary Fund of Louisville. And the voting for this will actually be held by electronic ballot starting this coming Monday through April 10th, so you'll be receiving that. The results of the election will be announced at the annual meeting on April 13th, which will be at the Women's Club of Louisville on 4th Street next to Central Park. But it's a great group of people, and I'm really excited we were able to come from a site like this. I'm excited that each and everybody is excited as well. So, your show, Walt. Thank you.
That is a great slate. We are so happy that leadership going forward is in great hands. Kevin did a lot of hard work on this, Delaney did as well, and we are really, really pleased with this. Now we're on to the main event, and I would like to play Put Me in Coach by John Fogerty, but my phone's not working, I don't know. Kevin, can you help me? Oh, yeah, there we go. So if y'all didn't pick up on it, next year on the board we have President Kevin, and we have Board Director Kevin F. and Board Director Kevin M. So Kevin, just if you want something done, say, hey Kevin. And now, I'm not going to say Kevin, I'm going to say Ken Salvaggi is going to come up and introduce our speaker. And I don't have it sitting right in front of me, I think I can remember this. Ken is on the speakers committee and inspirational in getting a lot of great speakers. And I just went blank, Ken. Ken Salvaggi. Oh,
ESPN Louisville.
He's director of ESPN Radio.
Integrity encapsulates the amazing career Greg Galiette has had with the Louisville Bats, River Bats, and Redbirds. A career that'll mark 40 years next year. His leadership exudes integrity and speaks to his longevity and success. Running track at Eastern High School and the University of Louisville helped prepare him for all the running he has done through the years with the Bats and the many hats he has worn, culminating in his current role as Senior and Executive Vice President, which means he runs the front office and everything else. So he's the man. His marketing major at U of L helped as well, as his savvy skill set has helped the Bats lead the minor leagues through the years in promotion and attracting crowds. Greg looks at each day as a way to better his life, and in doing so, betters the lives of everyone he encounters. He's dealt with his share of adversity and appreciates that life is a gift to appreciate each day. And Greg and his wife Kelly will be celebrating their 40th anniversary in October. They have 2 children, Erika and Anthony, who are twins. Please welcome one of the very special people in Louisville, Greg Galiette.
First of all, thank you so much for the warm welcome I've received today. I see a lot of old friends and faces that I know, and it's been nice catching up with everybody. But for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Greg Galiette, president of the Louisville Bats, which used to be the Louisville River Bats, which also then used to be the Louisville Redbirds. So I guess my claim to fame is I am the longest tenured professional sports employee in the history of the state of Kentucky. I have no idea what that gets you, except maybe a cup of coffee, except a lot of gray hair, and I'm balding. So, but again, thank you for your warm welcome. It's just a great honor to be here with you today. I'm a native of Louisville. I grew up in Middletown when Middletown had one stoplight, and you had to go to St. Matthews to do your grocery shopping. There was nothing between Middletown and St. Matthews except farmland. And of course, that's not that way anymore. Went to the University of Louisville, I'm Eastern High School grad, and it's just an honor for me to continue my career in my hometown. I'm so blessed. My love for sports primarily came from the folks that I had around me as I was growing up. Unfortunately, my father passed when I was 5 years old from cancer. Sports then kind of became my babysitter, my nanny, and we here in the Louisville community, you know, we're so blessed to have such a rich, deep history of college sports, but I was always drawn to professional sports. My love of reading probably came from, as a small child, devouring every issue of the old Sporting News and Sports Illustrated. And my limited math skills probably came from the fact that I would basically memorize all the box scores in the Sporting News or in the Courier Journal or the Louisville Times. So sports has played such a major part in my growth and in my family. And I was blessed that my dad's brother, my uncle Dick Galiette, was the voice of Yale football for 33 years. He won the prestigious Connecticut Sportscaster of the Year Award 7 different times. Also was one of the first on-air sports anchors on ESPN Sports Center when they first came on the air, and also did several college football games on ABC TV. back in his day. So he's no longer with us, but he played a major role in my growth in sports. I would go visit him and my grandparents during the summer times in Southington, Connecticut, and got to be around his circle of friends and basically just kind of hang on to his coattail and be around so many interesting sports figures, especially on the East Coast. And I think that helped my growth as far as learning and my desire to continue my career in sports. When I got out of the University of Louisville, I went and worked at the Xerox Corporation for a year in sales. Tremendous sales program. Learned a lot about sales. But there's no way I can see myself sending copiers and memory typewriters for the rest of my life. So at that time, baseball was being rumored to come back to Louisville after being gone since 1972. A Tulsa businessman named A. Ray Smith had worked with Dan Ulmer in bringing baseball back. But what I want to do before that is kind of take you back for a quick, brief review of some of the pro sports teams that we've had down through the years. If you go to the next slide, please. I mean, all of us probably went to Louisville Colonels games as a kid if we have a passion for baseball, whether it was at Parkway Field, where unfortunately I actually, in my Legion days, playing Legion baseball, served up a home run there and watched it sail on to Eastern Parkway. But I had such rich, deep memories of going to Colonels games at the then, there's old Parkway Field, famous Louisville Colonel, very young face there, Pee Wee Reese. 1938, 1939, Pee Wee played for the Colonels before his contract was purchased by the Brooklyn Dodgers, and of course Pee Wee went on to become a Baseball Hall of Famer. Colonels then moved over to Fairgrounds Stadium, over there off of Interstate 65. It's a really interesting stadium, and really when it opened in 1956, was used for so many different functions. Actually, the first event there, I think in October of that year, was a exhibition football game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Baltimore Colts. And I think also during that same year, evangelist Billy Graham actually was here for about a month and had 26 different services during that month in the stadium. As I grew up as a child, my grandfather, who kind of stepped in as my surrogate dad, had season tickets to the Kentucky Colonels, which they came into existence in 1967 when the American Basketball Association was created. They were purchased originally by a local business group, but primarily the folks that bought them were dog owners and the Gregory family. And you see the young dog there chasing the Colonel mascot. That's actually Ziggy, who was their pet dog and a champion in the dog world as far as dog shows. So the Colonels actually depicted their dog in the mascot. Actually also learned my first cuss word at a Colonels game. Went home after my grandfather, we had seats underneath the basket, and I asked my mother what this word meant, which began with an F. And she was so quick, I didn't know whether she was going to put soap in my mouth or in my grandfather's mouth. But basically, half the players that were at the foul line throughout that game were using this word that I never had heard and understood. So I kind of brought that to light. The Colonels then moved after 3 years over to Freedom Hall. Had a very successful run in Freedom Hall. As the Colonels franchise existed from 1967 to 1976 before the merger of the ABA into the NBA. And actually the Colonels were originally supposed to go into the merger of the NBA, but the gentleman here pictured in the photo, you probably remember Artis Gilmore, number 53. The Chicago Bulls of the NBA really wanted Artis to play for them. So they voted against the Colonels to be allowed to come into the NBA, primarily to keep him away and so they could get their hands on Artis. So in those final years, particularly 1975 and 76, when the league ended and went from 10 teams down to 7, the Colonels unfortunately weren't the 4 teams that were selected to go into the merger. And John Y. Brown, who a lot of you folks probably remember, was the last owner of the team and actually sold the rights to the Colonels for $3 million and took that $3 million and bought the Buffalo Braves and became involved with them. And the Braves, after a couple of seasons in Buffalo, in the NBA, quickly moved to the West Coast and are now known as the Los Angeles Clippers. So, after the Colonels left, professional sports kind of dried up, and there were several attempts to bring professional sports in various ways, shapes, and forms to our community. The Kentucky Bourbons professional softball team was one of those. Played out at Old BD Field, Bishop David Field out on Dixie Highway. A lot of folks probably went out there and saw them play back during the summers. Bill Gaddy, former University of Louisville football player, is one of their big stars, big home run hitter for the Kentucky Bourbons. The Kentucky Trackers football team rose up and played some games at Fairgrounds Stadium, primarily made up of a lot of ex-University of Kentucky, Louisville, Eastern Kentucky, Western Kentucky players, as the American Football Association, which was basically a double-A minor league football league, tried to get its footing, but unfortunately that didn't last very long either. You probably might have remembered the Louisville Catbirds that had a brief stint in the CBA. First 2 years were played down at the old Louisville Gardens, and then they finished up in 1985 out at Broadbent Arena. So there's been lots of attempts at various sports, professional sports in our community. The Louisville Ice Hawks, as professional ice hockey at the minor league level, tried to make an attempt to get some footing here from 1990 to 1994, playing at Broadbent Arena out there at the fairgrounds. The Louisville Fire indoor football team, really fun product to watch. Lasted from 2001 to 2008. Jeff Brom, our current coach at the University of Louisville, was actually their head coach back in 2002. And then everything changed. After sports had kind of dried up and we were almost going through a nuclear sports winter here, again, as I mentioned, A. Ray Smith and Dan Ulmer brought professional baseball at the minor league level, the AAA farm team of the St. Louis Cardinals. The Louisville Redbirds came to Louisville in 1982 and everything changed. The community was starving for something to do, particularly during the spring and summertime. Old Cardinal Stadium, as seen here in the upper left-hand corner, was the in place to go. It was the in thing to do. The first year in 1982, our franchise drew over 850,000 people. In year 2 in 1983, we drew over 1 million. That's never been done and probably will never be done again as far as a minor league baseball team ever doing that. In 1983, we actually outdrew 5 major league teams in attendance that year. This crowd right here was over 33,000 people. I remember that night because that was a quarter hot dog night on a doubleheader. And I remember that because I found myself in one of the concession stands for about half the night cooking hot dogs, just trying to keep up with the crowd. It was unbelievable. But we had so much fun there doing Redbirds games, and when there wasn't Redbird games going on at the old stadium, there were some concerts that we were involved in. We were involved in putting on the Rolling Stones, Grateful Dead, and I remember the Grateful Dead very well because I was the ticket manager of the Redbirds at the time, and I remember the Deadheads camping out in front of my ticket office for a week. Clothesline attached to my window, one of my ticket windows, going out to a Volkswagen bus van out in the parking lot with their laundry going right across the parking lot. And it probably took me 3 weeks after they left to get the smell of marijuana out of my ticket office. And let me tell you, my ticket office was an interesting place. We at the Redbirds, one of our primary focuses as a business model, we wanted to bring fun to baseball. We were one of the first minor league teams ever to really do some crazy, interesting things. And one of the things we did is we brought in Captain and Lady Dynamite. And they actually blew themselves up before a game. And actually, they were almost looked like coffins, but actually the explosion would go outwards rather than inwards. So I remember they were performing right before we started our game. I was in my ticket office doing some attendance numbers. And this was the day before Ticketmaster. So I have a huge seating board of Cardinal Stadium behind my desk on the wall. I have pins in every individual seat that we've sold, and it was over 5,000 season ticket holders at the time. And all of a sudden, boom, the walls of the entire stadium shake as they're doing their performance, and down come all the pins out of my seating board, raining down onto my shoulders. So I spent for the next 10 days with a couple of my ticket assistants recreating that seating chart up on my wall. But we had a lot of fun at Old Cardinal Stadium. We did Farm Aid there, which was a huge event. Several concerts, we drew over 40,000 people. This is a hockey franchise that's kind of near and dear to my heart. This is the Louisville River Frogs. How many people remember the River Frogs? Do you know who created the name River Frogs? He's standing right here in front of you. I don't know what made him come up with that name, but we had so much fun with that. We knew nothing about hockey. We bought this as a baseball franchise and ran it for 3 years with our baseball front office. So basically, in the fall, we're getting ready for hockey games while we're out selling baseball for the next season, or right now, we'd be getting ready for baseball season and be out trying to sell hockey. So I basically never saw my family for 3 straight years. I mean, I was basically living at the stadium or at Broadbent Arena. But we had so much fun with the River Frogs because they basically became our laboratory for promotions. And we tried all kinds of wacky, crazy things. We had the flying inflatable frog. We had the hot tub against the glass. I brought in the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, the famous chicken. I mean, we had the skating crew. Our promotional team was on skates called the Swamp Patrol. And this allowed us to really do some interesting things. And when we started bringing those ideas over to the baseball side and really learning to push the envelope more and more on the baseball side. So we basically handed the River Frog franchise after 3 successful years over to a group that owned the Florida Panthers, who then moved that franchise from AA hockey, which is what we were in the East Coast Hockey League, up to AAA hockey into Freedom Hall. They took away all the promotions we used to do, basically stripped it down to just basically hockey, and said, here Louisville, enjoy professional hockey. Now, we kind of understood who we were as a business. When we ran the hockey team, we tried to schedule our home games, especially on the weekends, primarily on Friday nights or Sundays, because we didn't want to compete with either UK or U of L basketball. We wanted to give the people of Louisville something to do as a family in the wintertime when they're not home sitting in front of their television or at the arena watching basketball. So we kind of figured that we kind of successfully did that. Unfortunately, the Panthers took all that away, and within 2 years, hockey was gone. And it's a shame it's never been back here since. So I kind of miss hockey. I didn't know much about it when we first got involved, and I just fell in love with it. Because if you have an opportunity to see a hockey game live and in person, it'll grab you because it is so fast. These guys are so talented. And they would come over to our old stadium club at the Fairgrounds Baseball Stadium after the hockey games. The players would, in their nice jackets, coat and tie, because most of these guys are ex-Ivy League players. With stitches all over their face, Band-Aids all over their hands from the fights. And speaking of fights, we had a really tough match against Columbus up there in Columbus, Ohio on a Saturday night. We lost in overtime. Came home. We had a Saturday afternoon matinee against the same club at 2 o'clock at Broadbent Arena. 1 o'clock, doors open. 1 o'clock, both teams come out on the ice, start to do a preliminary skate to get their legs loose. They pass each other one time at center ice, doing a circle around the ice to get their legs loose. Gloves come off. We are going full Donnybrook at 1:02. Louisville City Police trying to get on the ice to stop the fight. Folks, I hate to tell you, but police officers don't come with skates. They're slipping and falling, trying to get to the ice. Fans are walking in as the doors are just opening, going, oh my God, what the heck is going on? So, minor league hockey at its best. But again, great memories with the River Frogs. Love those jerseys. Louisville City FC, fantastic soccer franchise, which has built a tremendous stadium right down the street here. We had the pleasure of having them in Slugger Field with us for 5 years. They won actually a couple of league titles in our ballpark, but unfortunately we are a baseball stadium and not a true soccer facility, which their league governing office basically said, hey, going forward, starting in 2020, all the franchises in the USL have got to basically play in a soccer stadium. So that's basically what spurred on them to then look at a new site, which led to Lynn Stadium, which has led to their great success. So my hat off to the folks at Lou City. They do a tremendous job. There's a photo from them playing at Old Louisville Slugger Field. And then, of course, their beautiful stadium down the street here from downtown. And then, of course, coming out of that, they now have the racing team. Another great soccer franchise. Soccer is really growing in our community. They do such a tremendous job. But I want to get back to the Redbirds / River Bats / Bats. Been a great run. Been a great run. To watch in my hometown a beautiful ballpark rise up out of the main street when back in the day the joke was you want to get out of downtown by 5 o'clock because you want to get hit by the tumbleweeds rolling down Main Street. And the fact that our group provided the community a place where you can take your family and your kids and enjoy a night out in downtown Louisville really makes me proud as a native Louisvillian. And to watch the neighborhoods that have grown up around us. I mean, folks, when we first moved into Louisville Slugger Field, there was no waterfront. There was no Yum Center. There was no New Loop. There was none of that. It was basically vacant warehouses. And we were kind of thrown in there by the city of Louisville as a guinea pig to see if something would take. And it did. And sometimes when you do it right and you build something, good things can happen, and it has. And I just feel really good about what we've done as a franchise for the city of Louisville, for the downtown, and providing families and kids in our, not only our area here in downtown Louisville, but our entire county, but also this region, for a place to go and enjoy family entertainment. The good thing about our product, winning and losing isn't that important. It's more about the experience. I'll be at the gates when fans are leaving at the end of the night, and I'll go, did you have a great time? Oh, we had a tremendous time. Did we win or lose? Not so sure. Who did we play? I have no idea, but we had a great time. And the fact that for the last 10 straight years we've been below 500, that's pretty beneficial, because sometimes we haven't been very pleasurable to watch. But I think that's going to change this year as we get underway. Our team actually will get here, we'll have our first workout on the lights next Wednesday night as they arrive here from spring training, as the Cincinnati Reds will be making their final cuts, which will determine our roster. But I think we're going to have a pretty talented club. Looks like we're going to be very fortunate to have one of the top 5 players in all of minor league baseball start a season with us. Remember the name Ellie De La Cruz. Last year, between single A and double A, hit almost 300 with almost 30 home runs, 90 RBIs, 50 stolen bases, a 6'5" shortstop. With the personality, and I know this because I used to deal with him when he played for us, of Deion Sanders. An electric personality. Fans are going to fall in love with this guy. If you follow the NBA right now, he reminds me a little bit of Ja Morant, just an electric player. I think our fans are going to fall in love with him. Unfortunately, I got a feeling the Cincinnati Reds are going to yank him right out of here, like they do everything. But that's why we're here. We're here to develop talent for the Reds. But I think with all the trades the Reds have made for the last few years, trading all those players that we kind of fell in love with to other clubs, they gathered all these young prospects from all these other teams. And those guys are now finding their way through our system and now getting to Louisville. So I think we're going to have some really good baseball for the next few years. But I want to take you back to a few memories and a few stories real quickly of my days with the Redbirds. Working for A. Ray Smith was so special. A. Ray was such good friends with so many Hall of Famers. Our Hall of Fame dinner in the wintertime back then had the second most Hall of Famers attend besides the Cooperstown induction ceremonies. One year we had over 33 Hall of Famers. So I got to be around Mickey Mantle, Billy Martin, Joe DiMaggio, Stan Musial. One of these events, we had a cocktail party over at Freedom Hall before the dinner at Broadbent Arena. My wife comes over to me and says, these 2 guys are hitting on me over here. I go, what 2 guys? She points across the room, Bob Gibson and Joe Torre. I go, well, you're on your own, honey. But Billy Martin, Mickey Mantle, they would spend a couple of weeks with us at the Redbird offices. And I remember driving them around in the evenings to various local establishments. Those 2 gentlemen, by the end of the night, had no clue what city they were in. But to listen to the stories that Billy and Mickey would tell were tremendous. To be around Whitey Ford, I got to meet Satchel Paige. I mean, I have been so blessed to be and have the opportunity to cross paths with so many really interesting people. And the opportunity to work at the old Redbird Stadium was so cool. And again, I just feel very blessed as a Louisvillian. And the opportunity, as I always tell people, I don't feel like I've worked a day in my life to be able to do something that I'm so passionate about and actually make money doing it. I feel like I'm stealing. So, again, thank you for your time today. I appreciate everything. If anybody has any questions, I'll answer those. But again, thank you again for having us. Please come see us at Louisville Sports Field.
All right, so Rotarians, if you've got a question, please make your way to the back. I have so many. If you all can't tell with all my memorabilia up here, I'm a baseball person. And so I have a lot of questions, don't want to do that, but we're going to do this trivia here in a minute too. We've got that. So anybody, do not Google this, no Google time now. Who scored the very first run in Louisville Slugger Field? I know you know. I know you know. Are you the only one that knows? Anybody else know? This person's a Hall of Famer. You know too, Tony? All right, well, you 2 stand up. We're gonna play a little game. Okay. If his first name begins with E or higher, sit down. E or higher. Higher is F-G-H. If it's A, B, or C, sit down. So, is this person a Hall of Famer? in a different sport. So tell me,
Football. He's football.
football Hall of Famer scored the first run at Louisville Slugger Field, and who was it?
Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders. Deion and Tony get I'm sorry, they did not get it. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, what did I
I
say?
think you call it Deion.
Quick story about Deion. I had the pleasure, I'm the one that got to deal with Deion every day. Deion lived in Cincinnati when he played for the Bats 2 separate times, 2000 and 2001. Drove down here every day from Cincinnati, and it seemed like in a different sports car. And I didn't think you could put as much chrome on a car as he did. Had 2 German Shepherds that came with him every day. And Deion basically, when he wasn't out in the field, basically sat in front of his locker and read the Bible all day. So completely different guy than the way he perceives himself out in the general public, but it was some interesting times with him.
So you two get lunch at the women's club on Rotary, okay? So that's a good one. Steve, what you got?
President Walt, Steve Jester. Greg, thank you for being here today. I moved here in 2008, the end of 2008, from Dallas, Fort Worth area.
Wow.
And the next year collapsed on the floor as the Rangers lost to the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series. But anyway, we had season tickets that we shared with 3 other people and got to see Billy Hamilton and Aroldis Chapman and those folks. And in recent years, you're right. I mean, the team has been difficult to watch in many ways. And I'm one of those people who actually cares who wins.
As do I. And the Cincinnati Reds hate when they see my phone number pop up on their phone.
Yes.
I'm always complaining.
So I'm pleased to hear that, I understand how it works, but any other encouraging words you can give me for the coming season?
The interesting thing is, it's just a large number of really good, young, talented kids. I don't know how many University of Louisville baseball fans are here, but Nick Solak, who played for University of Louisville, looks like he may be a Louisville Bat this year. Got sent down during spring training, which means our ticket manager is going to have her hands full filling up that pass list every night with all his family and friends. But no, just a wealth of young talent, which we have not seen in a long time. And it reminds me of 2007, 8, 9, 10, when Joey Votto came through, Todd Frazier, you mentioned Chapman, all those guys. And we won 3 straight divisional titles. Hopefully we can get back to something close to that.
Greg, thanks for your presentation. Kevin McCarran with Projection Creative.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you for emphasizing the importance of family-friendly events. As a father of young kids, we always come down to the park, and I also had the privilege of spending the night with the Scouts, so I appreciate the ability for you to think outside the box and bring other organizations like Scouting so that we can see the city at night and listen to the trucks driving by the stadium. What other family-friendly events can you list?
Besides baseball?
Well, in addition to the baseball, or as the season begins.
We're not partial. We do the same thing for the Girl Scouts, where we let them camp out, and we actually turn our video board in left field into a giant movie screen. And we let them watch a movie before they go to sleep. Funny story about the first Boy Scout campo. They came, and they have that water repellent, and they sprayed it all over their tents.
Nice.
Next day, we have got all these squares of dead grass in our outfield as the water repellent went down the tents, hit the grass, and just killed our grass. So our grass looks like a checkerboard. But no, we've had a lot of fun recently with our Halloween event, which we do in October. Last year we had almost 4,000 people, where we also then show a Halloween movie at the night while we trick-or-treat. We do a breakfast with Santa. We do so many runs and walks and charitable things like that. Festival of Trees and Lights in our ballpark. We're looking for various ways to do more of that. Also, as you saw on my slide, we did a lot of concerts at the Redbirds because we had AstroTurf. It was easy to do. Harder to do with grass because you've got to be careful not to kill it. I am right now talking with several promoters about trying to do a large concert in the stadium, hopefully in the 2024 year. And anybody who follows and knows the Savannah Bananas, I have been in conversations with them. I'm hoping to have them play at Slugger Field in 2024.
So Craig, hold on a minute. So I got to put a shameless plug in here. So my wife and I had season tickets to the Bats before they moved to Slugger Field. To secure your tickets, you had to buy the year before at Cardinal Stadium, or the thing I call the parking lot. So that's where Concepcion learned to bounce the ball because it was so hard. Anyway, the best thing, one of the best things at Slugger Field is Thunder over Louisville, because you get to see the air show from your seats. You get to pay it's regular pricing on everything. You have clean bathrooms, and you come and go in and out as you please. It is one of the best deals, and they do have a concert in center field for that night, so it's family friendly. It's just one of the best places, and you're not so close to downtown, and if you're smart enough, you park way away and just walk, and you can be home in 15 minutes. So anyway, good part.
And actually, most people don't probably remember or know this, but the first Thunder over Louisville was actually held at Old Cardinal Stadium. We had to close the stadium gates. We had 40,000 people in there. We had Jenny Freaky in concert after our Redbird game. Zambelli set up fireworks on the roof of the stadium and also out in the parking lot and shot them. Unfortunately, a couple of those shells, as they went into the air, hit each other, careened across the interstate. One of them hit a house over in Auburn Park, slightly caught the house on fire as far as the roof. The joke in the media was that was the night the Louisville Redbirds declared war on Auburn Park. As you can imagine, next year, Thunder's downtown, been downtown ever since. But another memory, I was a PA announcer for that night, and it was pretty neat to watch that many people trying to enjoy a minor league baseball game. And that's kind of what we hang our hat on. We try to think outside the box all the time.
Greg, thank you for visiting with us today. And I know me personally, the Redbirds, the Bats, a big part of my childhood. In fact, some of you know my parents started Bearno's Pizza locally, and part of a marketing program, my parents and my dad and his brother, they befriended many of the early players back in 82, 83, and basically told them anytime they wanted to come to the restaurant, you can eat for free. Well, that attracts a lot of other customers when you see local celebrities in the restaurant. So, got to meet a lot of them. In fact, was with Gene Roof back in June. He was back in town. But anyway, my question to you is, you alluded to AAA baseball and AAA sports in general come up with very innovative promotions. What promotions have crossed your desk that didn't quite make the cut?
Well, I'll explain one that actually made the cut and we implemented, but just didn't quite work out the way we thought. We began shooting with a t-shirt gun, t-shirts and stuff into the stands at Old Cardinal Stadium the last few years before we left. So we came down opening night, Louisville Slugger Field, April 2000, brought the t-shirt gun. We forgot to recalibrate it because Cardinal Stadium is a very, very, very big stadium. So our promotional team comes out. At that time, we thought we'd be really cute. Instead of t-shirts, we had created River Bats boxer shorts. So we were shooting boxer shorts into the stands. Unfortunately, we were shooting it with a couple of guns that hadn't been recalibrated. Underwear going over the stadium into the street. One of my police officers who was out there parking his car walks in with boxers he had caught off Preston Highway. Okay, so didn't quite work too well.
So step here for a couple of seconds. One thing, a serious thing, is every week for our speakers, we make a $500 donation to our West Louisville Housing Fund that I talked about earlier, where we're trying to help 70 first-time homeowners in the 9 neighborhoods get housing. And it's an evergreen, never said this, evergreen, that as the payments for loans come in, they go back out for the next family. So we're looking for really big things for this. We want to say thank you. And now you get to be the door prize drawer. So, and this is for a ticket to our fundraiser. Thank you, Casey Mayer, for hosting it at the Waterfront Botanical Gardens. All right, 242-0675. 242. There we go. Greg Sherman is our winner. I know it's right at 1 o'clock, but I just can't get things done on time. I got to go over. So somebody had me put on I did play baseball for the 76 state championship team in Kentucky, in Owensboro. On my team was the first round draft pick for the 1976 World Champion Reds that swept the New York Yankees, 4-0 sweep in '76. He never got past single A, but you asked me how I played on the state championship. You ride on the shoulders of players that are better than you. And then nextly, you may or may not know, I'm an unabashed Vanderbilt baseball fan and been to the College World Series twice. Vanderbilt won twice, and we've won national championships since. Local schools. Anyway, and then last week they beat the reigning champs Ole Miss in a sweep, outscoring them 22-2 over a 3-game thing. And I think Greg would even say, I've got a well-loved A2000, which is still, isn't it one of the gloves that you'd want to have? So I love baseball, and now we're going to monetize this. So I've got Casey at the bat. Ken's already heard me say it. Ken needs to leave. I get it. I've got Casey at the bat. My daughter's named Casey, and we all read things when our kids are little. And I had the picture book. When I read this with Ken, I was turning pages, and it takes too long. But I got Casey at the back, and it's well loved. The first 3 pages are ripped out by a toddler or an infant. But I read my daughter, Casey at the bat, and I thought today, if you want me to read it, it's a $5 donation, and if you don't want me to read it, it's a $10. We're just going to call it I know a lot of you all aren't coming to the fundraiser, but this is the kind of fun we're going to have. So who wants me to not read it? Come on now, there you go, Kevin, that's $10. You got it back in the back, Carlos, $10. Come on. And so we already had 30, so that's $50 not to read, and we've got 15 to read. All right, who's gonna say $5? There you go, Tom's $5. Chris, Craig, Kevin. So we got Kevin. You got to break the tie here. We got Kevin Lynch on the good side. We got Mike Cool. We got Tracy. We got Steve. Have we got it covered yet? If we don't have it covered, I'm covering it because we're going to read it, all right? Y'all knew that was happening. The outlook wasn't grim for the Mudville 9 that day. The score stood 4-2 with but 1 inning more to play. And then when Cooney died at first, and Barrows did the same, a sickly silence fell across the patrons of the game. A straggling few got up to go in deep despair. The rest clung to the hope that springs eternal in the human breast. They thought if only Casey could get but a whack at that, we put up even money now with Casey at the bat. But Flynn preceded Casey as also Jimmy Blake, and the former was a Lulu, and the latter was a cake. So upon that stricken multitude, grim melancholy sat, for there seemed but little chance of Casey getting to the bat. But Flynn let drive a single to the wonderment of all, and Blake, that much despised, tore the cover off the ball. And when the dust had lifted, and when men had saw what had occurred, there was Jimmy safe at second, and Flynn a hug in third. Then from 5,000 throats and more there rose a lusty yell. It rumbled through the valley, it rattled in the dell, it knocked upon the mountain and recoiled upon the flat, for Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat. There was ease in Casey's manner as he stepped into the place. There was pride in Casey's bearing and a smile on Casey's face. And when responding to the cheers, he lightly doffed his hat. No stranger in the crowd could doubt 'twas Casey at the bat. 10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hands with dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded when he wiped them on his shirt. Then while the writhing pitcher ground the ball into his hip, defiance gleamed in Casey's eye. A sneer curled Casey's lip. Page 17. And now the leather-covered sphere came hurtling through the air, and Casey stood a-watching it in haughty grandeur there. Close by the sturdy batsman, the ball unheeded sped. That ain't my style, said Casey. Strike one, the umpire said. From the benches black with people there went up a muffled roar, like the beating of the storm waves on a stern and distant shore. Kill him! Kill the umpire! Shouted someone in the stand, and then's likely they'd have killed him. had not Casey raised his hand. With a smile of Christian charity, with great Casey's vision shown, he stilled the rising tumult. He bade the game go on. He signaled to the pitcher, and once more the spheroids flew. But Casey still ignored it, and the umpire said, "Strike two." "Fraud," cried the maddened thousand, echo answered fraud. But one scornful look from Casey, and the audience was awed. They saw his face grow stern and cold. They saw his muscles strain, and they knew that Casey wouldn't let that ball go by again. The sneer is gone from Casey's lip. His teeth are clenched in hate. He pounds with cruel violence his bat upon the plate. And now the pitcher holds the ball, and now he lets it go, and now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. Oh, somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light. And somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey has struck out. And I just won a $500 bet and say that nobody ready to do that. And now, for Walt's words of wisdom. These will be real quick if I can get to them. And these are hilarious. Y'all know this first one. There's no crying in baseball. You got to put this one in context. I'd be willing to bet you, if I was a betting man, that I never betted on baseball, Pete Rose. When you start the game, they don't say work ball, they say play ball by one of the greats, Willie Stargell. And now I had a whole book of yogiisms, and so this is an edited, abridged few. Little League Baseball is a very good thing because it keeps parents off the streets. This is my favorite. You better cut that pizza in 4 pieces because I'm not hungry enough to eat 6. And nickel ain't worth a dime anymore. Never answer an anonymous letter. And you've got to be very careful if you don't know where you're going because you might not get there. And we are adjourned. Thank you all.
I am a race to boys.
Rotary guests, please come over here to what is Rotary table?
Yeah.